Today, I want to illuminate a truth that we often forget. Although we may feel alone in our traumas and in our struggles, maybe even in experiencing some of our success, it doesn't mean that we actually are alone. In fact, tapping into the ultimate power of healing, happiness, and well-being, although it starts with us, it ultimately takes community. You see, I know what it's like to feel alone and struggle. From leaving home at 17 because I felt misunderstood. Then again, looking back, which teenager didn't? Having to navigate through my anxiety and panic attacks that led to my own isolation. And then witnessing my parents, family members, and community figure out what security and safety could look like again after losing 21 beautiful souls to one of the deadliest school shootings in Texas in my hometown of Uvalde. And then through time, watching them muster up the courage and the strength to rebuild. You see, there are good and bad events in life. There's turmoil, I've seen it. I've experienced having to rebuild on my own as I've evolved through life, rebuilding some kind of new version of normalcy. Those moments that shake us to our core, it isn't easy, but it is possible. And now I don't want you to just take my word for it. You see, there's this fascinating phenomenon of the human psyche called hedonic adaptation. And simply put, it means that each of us can experience the peak of our highs and the depths of our lows, but somehow we all return to this baseline of happiness. And in order for you to really understand the concept, I need to first tell you about how I discovered it. 6 years ago, I found myself in one of those lows. I decided to think about what did I want next for me. And let me give you context. In the outside, on the exterior, I seemed very successful. I was in my 20s still, in my late 20s, but I was running a very successful construction company. I was traveling the world. I was publishing my first book. And well, as I knew that I had to face some challenging moments, I did what any regular person would do, which is book a trip to Europe and escape from it all. Sounds pretty fun, right? Here's the thing about trying to run away from your problems. You can't get too far. No matter what corner of the world you fly yourself to, no matter what ocean view you're sitting in front of, sipping a latte, you can't escape what's in here. You can't escape those negative thought patterns. They follow you everywhere you go. So soon enough, after that very fun time, I came back after backpacking for a month, and I had to sit with myself. I had questions come up like, well, what's next? My entire identity was locked in who I was over here. I was a woman in construction. I was an entrepreneur, baby. And then it hit me. I had this realization that even when we feel like we're starting from the ground up, not me, not any of you sitting here, we're never starting from scratch. We're starting from experience. But as we all go through those dips and twists in life, I found myself struggling. What's next? Who am I working to become? Maybe you found yourself in one of these moments. Maybe for you it looked like going through a divorce, getting laid off at work, having to find a new career path. Maybe for you, you've also experienced what it feels like to lose your identity and have to rebuild again. Soon enough, I found myself going online. I was typing things on the internet like, how to build back my confidence, how can I find my happiness again? And then the big one, how can I feel less alone? You see, each and every one of us has experienced a moment like this. And to prove that, by the way, I do see in the audience, you all look fabulous. Thank you for being here today, but I need you to help me with something. I want you to take a moment and look around the room. Take a look to the people to the right of you and to the left. Now even maybe take a look at those behind and in the front. I hear you laughing over there. I love it. We see smiles in the audience, people so fantastically well dressed. But here's the commonality that we have. We all have a story. And just like I have a story, you have a story. The interesting thing is, maybe you locked eyes with someone in the audience, and little do you know, they may be struggling with something in this very moment that you know nothing about. I don't know about for you, but for me, that brings a sense of solace. I'll tell you why. I don't feel so alone knowing that we all want to feel happy, that we all want to feel connected and seen and heard. And let me tell you this much. If you're experiencing some kind of low season of life right now, remind yourself that you're 100% capable of getting through it. Not because I said so, but because you're here today. I hope by now that you realize this isn't just a talk for me. This is a call to action. And I hope that the next few things I'm going to share with you today help you to experience that. So, going back to 6 years ago, I'm in the middle of getting my business dissolved. You see, I was holding this shame and this secret. Remember all that cool on the exterior, on the outside, traveling around the world, publishing a book? The truth was, I had to dissolve that business because I could not go one more day in a partnership that was mentally and physically abusive. I had to find myself again. And so, while I was back on the internet, I ran across this happiness expert, Dr. Laurie Santos out of Yale University. I dug so deep into her work that I decided to get certified in the science of well-being, and for 10 weeks, I studied rigorously so that I could change my own state of mind and hopefully help others do the same. And here's some of what I learned. One of the biggest things that I've implemented since then until now is I've been intentional about seeking community and social connection. You see, community and social connection can look like many different things. I'm looking out into the audience today, and I know that there are loved ones of some of the other speakers who are on this stage, and I'm so happy that you're here. It can look like family members, close friends, those people that love us no matter what. For me, along with that, I'm grateful to have loved ones here today supporting as well. It also looks like being a part of an entrepreneurial community, people that build me up to be a better woman in business. Then I have my art community to help me become a better writer, a better speaker. And dare I say that I've also created a community so that those who are wanting to start that entrepreneurial journey, they feel supported too. How are you being intentional about partaking in community? Science shows that your happiness boosts over 30% when you feel like you have other people to help and support you. And maybe right now you're asking yourself, gosh, Amber, I don't know where to start. Where do I find this community thing? Well, I will say that with community, we have this really cool thing called technology. And you can actually search online to find one. But even if then you feel like you've searched, you still can't find a community you feel you truly belong to, well, I say, maybe this is your calling to go out and create one. Now that you hopefully know the power of community, one of the other things that I've been practicing is something that, even with all the exterior hype, the people that love us and support us, as much as they tell us, you're doing wonderful, you're doing great, I'm so proud of you. Have you ever had a loved one tell you that, and then you're kind of like, I just don't feel it yet? I know I have. You see, that's where it takes us honing into our strengths, to be able to conjure up our own tenacity, to be able to go out into the world and take the action that is necessary, to go out into the world and be able to do the thing that we said that we want to do, and the way that we want to change the world, the way we want to show up in the world. All the people in the world could support us, but at the end of the day, that's up to us. So what are your strengths? How are you leaning into those? And lastly, something that I do practice daily is gratitude. Now, maybe you've read about it in books, you've heard about it from the gurus. Okay, I'm not your gratitude guru, let me tell you. But I will say that in some of my toughest moments, on the days that I feel like I can't find anything to be grateful for, there's always something. And some days, it takes a little bit longer of a time than others. You know, there have been days where normal things happen in life, like you're stuck in traffic, you missed the flight. But guess what? I've missed some flights, and then I've ended up experiencing friendships from other people that missed those flights, and I think to myself, how cool how that worked. Because there is always something to be grateful for, even in those times that we feel like there aren't. So I ask you, how are you desiring to show up intentionally in your life so that you too can always make sure, despite the struggles, the peaks, the lows, you return and accelerate that baseline of happiness? How are you intentionally going to seek community and social connection? How are you going to start leaning into your strengths? And how are you going to begin to feel grateful? Find something to be grateful for each and every day. This is not meant for you to do alone. Stop believing that you have to heal and grow alone. Muster up the courage to connect and begin to see the positive ripple effects that it creates when you do. Thank you.